Welcome to part 2 of creating a production server using ConnextCMS. So where we left off is we've got rpibroker.com running on port 3000, but it's not running on port 80, and we do not have any SSL set up for HTTPS. And we're only running one site on our DigitalOcean droplet, but we have customized a template, and we have set up our super user so we can access the dashboard. So we're really close. So let's go back over our objectives. Basically, we've gone through everything here on this page. We've gone through everything here on this page. So let's jump into setting up NGINX and applying for an SSL certificate through Let's Encrypt. First of all, let's just get the website running on port 80. Let me show you how to do that. So again, if you go to the Docker ConnextCMS GitHub repository, you can go into this NGINX folder, and here's the README. So what we're going to do right now is set up NGINX and get it to forward onto our Docker container. So what we've got here is you want to run these instructions, update, and then install NGINX, which I already have. And when you do that, you can go to port 80, which is the same as no port at all. And this is what you'll get. This is the default NGINX screen that you'll get when you bring up port 80. So if I do Docker PS, you can see the two Docker processes running, MongoDB and ConnextCMS. So this is right in line with the diagram that you see here. We've got our Docker container, which is running MongoDB, and ConnextCMS. Those are these two processes here. So with NGINX installed, let's go ahead and add this script right here. This is an NGINX script, so I'm kind of jumping through here. The next step would walk you through installing Let's Encrypt, and we're going to get to that. But right now I'm just going to jump ahead and get this script in there. So the way to do that is you go to the etc directory, NGINX, and sites available, and there's this config script called default, and I'm going to copy that into a backup file, and then I'm going to create a new one. Oh, wait, there shouldn't be anything there. Okay, so then I'm going to paste that in. So let me walk you through here. I've mentioned that NGINX is better at serving static content than Express or Node or Keystone or whatever you want to call it. So let me walk you through line by line what this is doing. So this is listening on port 80, and there's only one server set up in this script right now. Actually, might help if we walk through here. So there, see this server with an opening bracket, and then there's a closing bracket here. So there's only one server. When we add a second server to our server, to our host, so when we add a second website to the host, we're going to add a new server to the script. So we'll get to that in a minute. But right now there's only one. It's listening on 80 as a default, and right now it's also trying to listen on 443, which is HTTPS. So I'm going to comment that out because we're not ready for that yet. And then there's this root command that tells it where to find all the static assets. So I need to change that as well, because our directory actually lives in com.rpibroker. And then I think the rest of that is accurate. And I'm going to set up the server name as rpibroker.com and www.rpibroker.com. So it's important that you get the www because this is a subdomain and NGINX does treat it differently. So if it's not here, a lot of people make the mistake, in fact I have made the mistake many times, of doing it like that, and then when you bring up www, NGINX doesn't know what that is, so it doesn't handle it. So they are different and they both need to be in here. This is also more lines for SSL, which we're not ready for, so I'm going to comment them out. So this line here, client max body size, this allows uploads up to 50 megabytes. And this line is also in the Keystone.js config file. There are two different, when NGINX is involved, there's now two different ways that users could be prevented from uploading large files. Keystone itself, or the Express app, depending on how you want to, what you want to call it, that has its own limits, and then NGINX has its own limits. So we've got 50 megs set for both of them. And then now we're starting to get into where NGINX is superior. This is boilerplate code for turning on gzip compression. So this makes your website load a heck of a lot faster. Google also pays attention to whether you have compression on when it's considering you for the organic search results. So this is really important. Just makes everything faster. There's also down here browser caching. So this tells the website, like, you know, you don't really need to download all the pictures and everything. You don't need to download that every time. You can use your cache up to 7 days, and you can change this expiration date. But again, it just makes the loading of your websites much faster for returning visitors. And then this is the more complicated section. Basically, what's going on here is anytime the /keystone is requested, which is how you access the Keystone admin UI, or any of the baked-in user interface that comes with Keystone, it's going to match this and it's going to serve it up. And basically, it's going to, instead of trying to serve up static resources or trying to turn on browser caching, it's just going to say, hey, it's going to go to the Express app and say, hey, this is for you, you need to serve this up. Anything else, just the default /, it's going to go here, and it's going to go to port 3000, which is where our Express app lives, and also that's captured here, and it's going to serve that up, but it's also going to turn on browser caching. So the way this is structured, and I don't want to get too deep into the technical stuff, but the way this is structured is this block catches everything that's /keystone, and then this block catches everything else and turns on browser caching. The reason is, if browser caching is turned on here, it breaks the Keystone UI. So I'll just say that. If you don't understand that, just ignore it. It doesn't matter. You're essentially just copying and pasting this. Okay, so let's just make sure everything's looking good. I think it is. So we can go ahead and save this. And so I'm going to do sudo nginx and this is going to check for syntax errors, and it found one. Oh, I think I've done this before. Right, I forgot a semicolon at the end. And I just want to, I'm going to copy that and just make sure that I have the right path. Okay, there's our actual path. There's what I copied. And they look exact, so that's fine. So, okay, so again, let's check for syntax errors. Everything looks good. So I'm going to restart NGINX. Restart. Okay, so now if we refresh the .com with no port, okay, now it comes up on port 80, and it should also come up on port 3000. Yeah, so either one. So now port 80 is forwarding onto port 3000 internally. So here's what's happening from a visual standpoint is we're making a request on port 80 on rpibroker.com, which is being translated into the IP address of our droplet, and so that's how it's finding our host system. And we're requesting rpibroker.com on port 80, which goes to NGINX, and it knows that, so it's looking and it's saying, oh, okay, I know this domain, and I know from the config file that I'm supposed to proxy port 80 to port 3000, which connects us to our Docker container, which forwards us on to ConnextCMS. And so that's how it's all working mechanically. So we've got one website working on its domain. It's still not secure. We're using HTTP, not HTTPS. And so let's go ahead and set up HTTPS. That's where the rest of these instructions come in. So let's install the this is all Let's Encrypt and stuff that I got off their website. And looks like I've already got it installed. Okay, so yeah, I installed this software prior to running this video, and that's fine. So this command here needs to be customized because our public directory is actually trout.com rpibroker Docker ConnextCMS public. And then the trick here with this command is you want both the .com and the www.com. Again, it's treated as two different websites, so you need to include both of them if you want both of them to work. Okay, so now we're talking with Let's Encrypt, and we're essentially registering it. And it's important when you do this, you have to have a functional website, and you have to point out the public directory, because this is part of how it does it. It's going to create a challenge. It's going to make sure that you actually have access to that website. So see, it's waiting for verification, and so we got this congratulations notice. And it's saying that the certificate has been saved to this directory, and we're going to want to save that for future reference. And in fact, I put a note here in the instructions, right here in bold. Take note of that directory path. Okay, so we've got that saved. We got that there. We got our certificate, and okay, so now we need to use OpenSSL to create a 2048-bit encryption key, private key. I'm going to do that now. And this is going to take a while, so I'll fast forward through this. Okay, so that's done. Okay, so we did this part, and now we need to create this file. So let's go into etc. NGINX snippets, see what's already there. These are just default files that I don't think they even get used. And again, we're in a special directory, so you have to use sudo to do everything in here. You have to have root permissions. So SSL and we're going to do rpibroker.com.conf. And paste these in here. And this is the directory that we needed to take note of from before, so let's make sure this is correct. Live rpibroker.com full chain, and this is going to be rpibroker.com. So this private key, it doesn't mention it, but it ends up in the same directory, so you really just need to make sure they're the same. Okay, so that's what NGINX needs for our SSL certificate. And then this file here is just a boilerplate code. There's nothing you need to change. And I got this from this place. So if you want to see how I got this code, that's where it came from. Sudo nano SSL params. Okay, so that's there. Alright, so because we have a working config file, sorry about that ding, I can't figure out how to turn the volume down. Okay, so we have a working config file, so let's back it up. And remove the old one and create a new one. Actually, I guess that's what we want. We just want to edit it. Okay, so now I can uncomment the HTTPS stuff, and this was rpibroker. That stays the same, and I think that's the only change that I need to make. So let's check it for syntax errors. Could not find the conf file, so I probably named it wrong because I tend to do that. Let's see. SSL new server. Oh, okay. Let's see. Sites available. There we go. Need to take this out. This is leftover. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, syntax is fine. So restarting NGINX. Okay, we're still functional, so let's try HTTPS and see if that works. Okay. Voila, we're secure. We have our secure SSL certificate. Let's see if it also works for www. And it does. Yay, we get the same website. Okay, so let's see where we're at. So we set up the DNS. I covered that in part 1. We've installed NGINX. We applied for SSL certificate. We customized the script. Everything's running on port 80, so this is effectively like a functional, normal website that anybody could bring up. You could just be like, oh yeah, rpibroker.com comes up, it's secure. You can handle, you know, secure messaging, secure credit card processing. That's all in place. Everything's encrypted. Yay us. So now let's scale. Let's put a new, a second website onto this server, and that's what I'm going to cover in part 3.